Coming up, we're going to talk about Trinidad Chambliss and how Oklahoma might look to defend him. We'll do that coming up here on Locked On.
You are Locked On Sooners, your daily podcast on the Oklahoma Sooners. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Once again, thanks for making Locked On Sooners your first listen every single day. Shout out to all the everydayers out there. Tune in and subscribe to the show wherever you get your podcasts. We're part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. So the Oklahoma Sooners are traveling to Trinidad. Well, really, Trinidad's traveling to Norman this week. And they're going to be going up against one of the best quarterbacks in the SEC. This is a guy that currently ranks in the top 2 or 3 in most of these statistical categories. He's just been really good. Has 8 touchdown passes, just 1 interception so far. Right now he is, where is he at? He's 10th in the SEC in passing yards. But remember, he only took over like after the first couple of games for Austin Simmons, but he's been really good. He's not turning the ball over. He's been dynamic with the ball in his hands. He's rushing the ball well. He's thrown for an average of 221 yards per game. He's averaging 9.3 yards per attempt, which leads the SEC among qualified passers. That means he's chucking the ball downfield. He's really working to get the ball down the field. And he is only completing 62.7% of his passes, which ranks 13th in the SEC. Surprisingly, I mean, behind Jackson Arnold, and just in front of Taylor Green, Marcel Reed, and Arch Manning, who is last in the SEC in completion percentage. That's kind of shocking. But as a rusher, he's also been really good. He is, where is it at? I had it. Sorry, I lost it. But he's been a dynamic runner. He's 21st in the SEC in rushing yards with 323, averaging 4.6 yards per carry with 5 touchdowns. I mean, that's better than Jamarian Miller at Alabama. That's better than Gunnar Stockton, who just ran all over Ole Miss. Jackson Arnold and Marcel Reed, who are 2 really good runners. So Trinidad, he's been a really good dynamic dual threat quarterback. Where should Oklahoma look to beat him and look to defend him? So you go look at what he's done so far, and statistically, it doesn't look like he has a ton of weaknesses. If he's kept clean, he's completing 64.8% of his passes. Under pressure, completing just 50% of his passes, which, hey, under pressure, that's still not a bad rate. 1 touchdown, no interceptions, averaging 10.8 yards per attempt. That's actually pretty good when under pressure. If he's not blitzed, he's completing 63.8% of his passes. When he's blitzed, 60.7% of his passes. His yards per attempt actually go up when he's blitzed, and probably because he's scrambling outside the pocket and he's finding stuff down the field. His average time to throw actually goes up when he's under pressure, 3.58, because again, scrambling around. And it goes up when he's blitzed, 2.77, which is better than 2.65 when he's not blitzed. So he's a dude that tries to get the ball out quick. When he's kept clean, his time to throw is 2.48 seconds, which anything under 3 is pretty good. Anything under 2.5 is really quick. And that's going to be, I think, the way Lane tries to attack Oklahoma's defense. Get the ball out fast. Don't let Trinidad be under a lot of pressure. And so it's going to be up to Brent Venables and the staff to figure out ways to make him hold it a tick longer so they can try and get their pressure. In whether it's play action or not, he's pretty good. I mean, he completes about the same amount of passes, and the yards per attempt are about the same, whether it's play action or no play action. Now, he has no touchdown passes when it's play action and 1 interception. Take that for what it's worth. They don't use a lot of screen games. There's only been screens on 13 of his 181 dropbacks. So you might see a little bit more screen as Lane Kiffin tries to take advantage of a aggressive defense that Oklahoma brings to the table. Now, here's where I think it gets really interesting for Trinidad Chambliss. When you look at passing depth, which Pro Football Focus does a really good job at breaking this down, he struggles a little bit more in the intermediate area of the field. From 10 yards to 19 yards down the field, he's only completing 46.3% of his passes. More than 20 yards down the field, 61%. Less than or 0 to 9 yards down the field, 73.2. Behind the line of scrimmage, 91.2% of his passes. So under 10 yards, above 20 yards, he's been pretty efficient. It's that 10 to 19 yards where he seemed to struggle the most. And then let's break it down even further. If Oklahoma really wants to have success against him, try to make him go to the middle of the field or to his left, because statistically, that's where he's been at his weakest. The Pro Football Focus, again, breaking down the numbers for us. When he's throwing deep center or deep left, he's completing just 57.1% of his passes. When he's throwing deep right, that skyrockets up to 71.4%. Now, it's very minor differences. He's 4 of 7 throwing deep center, 4 of 7 throwing deep left, 5 of 7 throwing deep right. So again, not seeing it as well that way. Now, if we look at the intermediate part of the field, the area where he seems to struggle the most, again, that's 10 to 19 yards down the field. When he's throwing right, he's 3 of 6 for 50 or for 47 yards. When he's throwing down the middle, 13 to 26 for 50% completion percentage, 233, 2 touchdowns. When he's throwing left, he's just 3 of 9. He does not want to throw outside the bound or outside the hash marks. So he's wanting to go down the middle of the field. That's where it seems like he's the most comfortable throwing the ball, or where he's been able to find the most success consistently in the intermediate part of the field. When he's throwing short, he's throwing, again, short middle or short right. When he doesn't throw short left very much, but he has completed 100% of his passes throwing short left. And then behind the line of scrimmage, that's where he'll go left more, is when they're throwing the ball behind the line of scrimmage. He has 10 passing attempts versus behind the line of scrimmage to the right, where he has just 5. But again, a dude that wants to go up the middle, but that's where Oklahoma's strength lies, is up the middle of the field. Whether it's their defensive line, their linebackers, their safeties, that's where their strength is. If they've had any kind of weakness so far defensively this year, it's been at cornerback on the outside. I imagine that Lane Kiffin's going to try to test that a little bit, and Trinidad's going to try and test that. They've got some dynamic wide receivers out there. They'll want to see if they can create some big plays throwing to the outside, throwing outside the hash marks, and seeing if Oklahoma can cover them up. That's what I would do, because even though he's more apt to throw it to the middle of the field, that's the most dangerous area to throw it to. Now, they'll try to use some misdirection to open up some more holes to allow him some easier, pitches and catches, but that's not an area that you want to necessarily try Oklahoma, because you've got Kip Lewis, who's really good at baiting you into an interception. You've got Peyton Bowen that's due for an interception. Robert Spears-Jennings that's due for a turnover, hasn't had one yet this year. So your defense up the middle of the field, that's where it's strongest. So look for Lane Kiffin and Trinidad Chambliss to try and attack the perimeter, which isn't necessarily easy to do against Oklahoma because of their team speed, but they'll try to attack the perimeter, try to attack downfield, and see if they can create some big plays. And they will. They'll hit a big play or two. You just can't let it be a regular occurrence. And if they do hit a big play, you got to tackle. And you can't let that big play turn into a touchdown. You got to rally to the football. This is going to be one of those weeks where tackling is going to be of the utmost importance. Trinidad, he's a great runner, and you've seen multiple really good runners so far this season, whether it's Bryce Underwood or Jackson Arnold or Arch Manning or Lenora Sellers. And you've done a really good job containing them for the most part. Arch Manning, Lenora Sellers gave you a little bit more trouble. They're bigger. They're more physical runners. Trinidad, he's fast. He's fast. But he's only 6 foot, like 190, 200 pounds. So you're going to have a better opportunity that if you do get both hands on him and you do try to wrap him up, a better opportunity to bring him to the ground than you did against Lenore Sellers. So play fundamental football, wrap him up, keep him contained in the pocket, don't let him escape, and use his speed, and you'll have a great opportunity to have a good defensive performance, which you're going to have to. You're going to have a really good defensive performance to win this game and to continue to win football games. And that's going to do it for today's episode of Locked On Sooners. Thanks so much for tuning in, being a part of the show. Subscribe to the show wherever you get your podcasts. We're free and available on all podcast platforms and on YouTube. Hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell to let you know when new episodes drop. You can follow Jay at Unfair Sports. Go check out his channel, Unfair Sports, for more Oklahoma Sooners and college football coverage. You can follow me at John 9 Williams and read my work covering the Sooners over at SoonersWire.com. The show is at Locked On Sooners on all of your favorite social media platforms. But until next time, for my guy Jay Smith, I'm John Williams. We'll talk to you then. Boomer Sooner!